ground a devil's stream. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail the damned night. Infernal's wrath, eternal night. Steel bites, the heavens quake. Flesh and bone, the earth will break. Ashes rain, the reapers feast. Darkness spreads, a crimson beast. Thunder cracks, the end draws near. Hope draws in the ocean of fear. Angels whip their wings in flame. Lost to the void, none remain. Fire rains, the battle calls. Demons dance as heaven falls. Choirs wail the damned night. Infernal's wrath, eternal Echoes fade, the war is done. A blood-red sky, a blackened sun. Souls consumed, no path to light. Hail victorious, endless night.
Sup, fuckers? Hello. Sup, fuckers? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. How are we doing today, everybody? Hello out there. We got our big screen up. We're ready to go. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing good. Oh, me, my hair is all flattened down. Oh, this damn headset. At some point, I'll actually just get some earbuds, but I'm far too lazy for that. Oh my goodness, how are we all doing today? A bunch of stuff is happening. I'm doing pretty good. It's another hottish day outside today. I needed to cool off. I needed to cool down. I don't think I asked for a lot. Well, I asked for quite a bit sometimes, but I don't think it's too much to ask for it to go ahead and start feeling like fall. I mean, I guess that's a part of living in the South. One of the negatives of living in the South is hot weather. There's plenty of other negatives, but I hope everyone's doing well out there. Hope everybody's staying safe. It is such a fun time to be alive. Let me tell you, if you are part of the left, congratulations on your new. If you are part of the left, oh fuck, wrong way. If you are part of the left or a liberal, congratulations on your new designation. Your new badge. Your new achievement unlocked. Terrorist status. Oh, to be designated as a terrorist. What does it mean to have the designation of a terrorist? Well, it means that your government doesn't like you. At least in our case. Get task. Fire Giants or Iron Dragons. I don't really want to do either of those. We'll just do Iron Dragons. Actually, I have Slayer tasks. Or Slayer points. Can I choose a task? Trade. Rewards. Assignment. Learn. Glaciers. Is there a Muspa? Why is there no Hellhounds? Alright, well, we'll just ask for another task. Get task. Blood Velds or Fire Giants? I don't, again, really want to do either of those. Clear. Can I have Hellhounds? Grotworms? Fungal Magi or Greater Demons. I could probably do either, but what do the Fungal Magi drop? Can I get a Polypore Staff? That's a lot of seeds. Snape Grass. Yeah, fine. Where is the... Oh, that should be easy to get to. Oh, fuck. I pressed the wrong button. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Cow fights. Hi, Azzy. Welcome over. We started stream. Did you want to come say hi? Hello. Yeah? What's going on? Hang on. You wanna come up? Oh, did you bring me a ball? Where's your ball? Go get your ball. So let's talk about a little bit of news, executive orders, because there's a fun thing dropped designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. This came out yesterday. Really exciting news. Really exciting news. Cow fights. That's OSRS. Cow fights. Well, I do need to kill the cow fight queen. I could just do a bunch of cow fight queens. 130 cow fights. Yeah, let's go kill the cow fight queen. See if we can anyway. And if we can't, then we'll just fight a bunch of cow fights. We need to go to Al-Kharid. Anyway, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. So, funny thing about Antifa is that it is not an actual organization. As somebody who's been Democrat to liberal to left-leaning to quite left, there is no organized means of Antifa. There is no command chain. There's no infiltration system to obtain. You have, sure, some radical people here and there, but I would argue there's a lot more militant and radical groups on the side of the right than there are within the... I guess I can use a halberd, right? I don't need a shield. within the party of the right than there are within the ranks of the left. Yeah, there's some big funder that's paying the way for paying the way for the means of the left is laughable. As a left-leaning streamer trying to spread the good word about leftism, let me tell you, there's no money in it. Wild, I know, but there's no money. Actually, we need to go to Karamja to get some anti-poison, right? Do I have super anti-poison? I thought I had anti-poison. Alright, we got super anti-poison. We have a bunch of lobsters. We have for some quick eats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's we can probably put those back, and let's just take some 1 or 2 water skins. At some point, I'll clean up my bank. I promise. But it will not be this day. It will not be this day. Antifa is a militarist, anarchist enterprise that explicitly calls for the overthrow of the United States government, law enforcement authorities, and our system of law. It uses a legal means to organize and execute a campaign of violence and terrorism nationwide to accomplish these goals. A cool thing. I didn't know that. Again, been left-leaning for many, many years now, and I've never gotten an invite. Would have loved an invite. I wish an invite existed, but simply not a real thing. Where are we going? I just said we were going to Ramja, didn't I? No, that was super. I need a rope. I know I need a rope. What is needed? Cow fight, queen. There's 3. You can load. You can do it. I believe in you. Oh, 2 ropes. See, this is why this is why we check. Bite, lightning, spines. Right. We should be fine. We should be fine. I have prayer renewal. Do I have any? Not Saradomin. Full restores. Nope. No, I don't. That will be fine. We'll be fine. I think it was to hurt accuracy anyway. This campaign involves coordinated efforts to obstruct enforcement of federal laws through armed standoff with law enforcement, organized riots, violent assaults on immigration and customs enforcement and other law enforcement officers, and routine doxing of and other threats against political figures and activists. Again, there is no organized, coordinated campaign. Some, Discord groups here or there, but I can point to just as many far-right Discord groups. Worse things. Oh wait. To the tunnel. Also, I would argue a lot of the violence from ICE or towards ICE is in response for their own safety. Is self-defense against an aggressive military. coming at you. Coming after you in the streets as you're just, on your way to work. To the cow fight queen. Alright, let's see how this goes with no prayers whatsoever. We're just gonna ball to the wall. So far it seems to be going just fine. Let's get a tornado in here. And it is 100%. Yeah, this is gonna be rough. X-form. Alright, so yeah, you are completely to attack, so I do have to bring another form. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. That's why we test things. To the bank. Good thing we have a decently high magic. I don't really want to take a full changeover though. Let's see here. We'll just take our air runes and we'll take our what else do we need? Our wand. Our wand. You and I'll take the mystic rope top. If I can find it. There we go. Alright, let's run it back. Go back to the cow fight queen. Where is the cow fight fairy ring? BIQ. BLQ. BLQ. Bum bum bum. Do I not? Oh, BIQ. There we go. There we go. Really is just right outside. Oh man. Alright, let's run it back. Let's run it back. We do have a new One Piece episode we could watch. We could watch the One Piece episode today. I mean, it sounds like it's a really good episode, you know. Can I do that? No? That sucks. I need to train agility. I don't by any means regret not going with the Silverhawk boots, but it would have been really nice to not have to train agility. Climb down, and it can be a public encounter. Oh, it's already set up. All right. Alright, so not going the best. Might. So I just have a 39% chance to hit. That's probably why it's doing crap right now. Scuff. This is scuff, but we're going for it. We can do it. We can do it. Fair renewal. Fair potion. Food. Bird. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, I'm so pissed. Damn. Damn, so close. Oh well. We'll just run over to Barrows then start doing that. Yes. Get task. Oh, pick a task. This is perfect. Barrows? Barrows Brothers. That's cool. That's much better. Alright, let's go do Barrows instead. We'll go to Lumbridge. We'll go to Lumbridge. Good old Lumbee. Okay, I need to go to the bank. We'll go to this one over here. We are just going to be running melee, no magic. I forgot the Cowpike thing was multiple phases. How annoying. I don't need you. Throw you away. I can put away. You can put away Food. Let's do a Barrows run real quick. Getting there, Fairy Ring and Mortmire. Is there a Berg the Rot teleport? Farming Patch. West Canopus. Grimhaven, Yetta. That's not what I want to press. Farming Patch, Fairies, Light. Alright, so nothing there. Fairy Ring. Where's the full map? Can I see the map, please? Thank you. Oh, annoying. Is that really the best one? Best way to get there. Yeah, I guess I have to go BKR. That's annoying. Fairy Ring, BKR. We'll see how much food we end up with when we get there. Hello, welcome in. I hope you're doing well today. Hope your day's going swell. It's a little hot outside. It's a little warm outside, but it's pretty. At least it's pretty, you know? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're staying safe. We are about to go do a little bit of bossing. We already did a little bit of bossing, but I don't have a high enough magic level to in order to actually beat the boss that I was trying to. So we're going to go do a different one, one that I'm more familiar with as well, because I like them more. The Barrows Brothers. Lost any food so far. All kinds of fun stuff going on, but I think we're going to be watching a One Piece episode in just a little bit. Whenever I decide to stop being lazy and get to it. Apparently the episode they came out with on Sunday is being called the best episode of the year across anime, so we'll see what that looks like. We will see what it looks like. I've got high hopes. I've got very high hopes, so we'll see. All right, we are done with that. Actually, we'll reopen that. Reopen that, please. All right, let's do some death tests. Let's see how fast the PB we can get with this loadout real quick. Hello there, Varric. Goodbye there, Varric. There's one. And here is two. We're gonna run with no prayers for this, just to see how we can do, how bad it is. So far, it's not bad at all, whatsoever. Dig. My clicks are out of this world at the moment. Ooh. Guthin, you're the last person I want to see. Guthin, cool, we're done with you. He fucked me up a little bit, so let's go ahead and drink our attack potion. Is this the way down? Perfect. It is not. Here we have Derek. There's Derek down. Taking a good bit of damage now. What are you? Excuse me? I don't even know you. No. Damn it. That might fuck up the PB a little bit. Perfect. Oh, fuck. Don't want to go down there yet, so we need to go to over here, dig you. Drag. You don't take any damage from Korag. Get out of there cleanly, and now we go. This one. Oh no. Oh yeah, that's it. Yes. Go into the tunnel. Go. What? We're at 4%. Tell me the out of here. No puzzle. Door in through. Go Carol and there's that boss done. Oh, and we start with a Derek's helm. Incredible way to start. That was a pretty good haul. That was a good way to start. Now how do I get out of here? Where's the rope? Okay, this is gonna give me vertigo, actually. I can't do this. We should be able to go to War's Retreat now. Farming Patch. Go to Lumbridge. War's Retreat. I actually haven't been to War's Retreat yet. Oh, that's where it is? I didn't realize it was right there at the... We also got a elite clue scroll from that. We got a Derek's helm. Hell yes, that's a new best in slot. We go to Draenor. We got a new best in slot, Derek's helm. Let's go. Let's go. 297 compared to our 226. Quite a bit better. You want to go for full barrows? Touch War's insignia. Don't mind if I do. That's how you get to War's Retreat. That's hilarious. You learn something new every day. Barrows. Oh my goodness, life is so easy. Oh my god, life is so easy. Alright, now we can do other things while we do barrows. Antifa has been designated a terrorist organization. Isn't that upsetting? We already read through some of this. Antifa recruits, trains, and radicalizes young Americans to engage in the violence and suppression of political activity, then employs elaborate means and mechanisms to shield the identities of its operatives, conceal its funding sources and operations, in an effort to frustrate law enforcement. Ooh, those Antifa. They're frustrating us. Those darn Antifa. Causing problems again. We've talked about this before, but there's actually a real funding campaign from the right, likes of like PragerU, Turning Point USA, all these organizations that radicalize young men, specifically targeting young men and women where they can. Typically, it's a little bit harder to target the women, but plenty manage to get indoctrinated from a young age. You know, there's plenty of victims out there. My Derek code. Oh, it'll start degrading. I didn't know they started degrading in this. But yeah, what is Ben Shapiro's? They're put on through PragerU, right? They're funded by PragerU. Elaborate means and mechanisms shield identities of operatives, funding sources. Individuals associated with and acting on behalf of Antifa further coordinate with other organizations and entities for the purpose of spreading, fomenting, and advancing political violence and suppressing lawful political speech. This organized effort designed to achieve policy objectives by coercion and intimidation is domestic terrorism. Interesting. Because when I see people being terrorized on the streets, I see the immigrants being terrorized, I see brown people being terrorized, I see black people being terrorized, and I see a lot of white people doing the terrorizing. Down, left, up, right. Fuck. How sad for me. How sad for me. Door. Just don't get the puzzle wrong this time, Kevin. Is there a bear's puzzle? My version of ChatGPT. Oh wait, this one is square. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yes, I do dare. 2 creatures slain. Search chest and nothing. That was a terrible chest. Absolutely terrible chest. We can just go to Draenor, right? Now we can just go to Draenor, go right to the hourglass, get back inside. Start over, run it back. So organized effort, intimidation is domestic terrorism. Because of the aforementioned pattern of political violence designed to suppress lawful political activity and obstruct the rule of law, I hereby designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. All relevant executive departments and agencies shall utilize all applicable authorities to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle any and all illegal operations, especially those involving terrorist actions conducted by Antifa or any person claiming to act on behalf of Antifa, or for which Antifa or any person claiming to act on behalf of Antifa provided material support, including necessary investigatory and prosecutory. Provided material support, including necessary investigatory and prosecutorial actions against those who fund such operations. I'm having a stroke. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or any. So essentially what this means is we can stop whoever we want, we can frisk whoever we want, and take in whoever we want on the suspicion of being, a radical leftist. Again, because there is no organized Antifa to actually point to. There is no actual system of power in which you can go after individuals. This is just going to be a mass arresting campaign. Wow. Sick drop. Deployable herb burner. Wonderful drop. So yeah, it's a opportunity for mass arresting campaigns of anybody who looks a little bit too Democrat, anyone who looks a little bit too woke, Gotta bring them in just for questioning, to be safe. You know, what if they're a terrorist? Anybody could be a terrorist these days. Your neighbor, your children, they've been radicalized. You know what? They can say it a lot more eloquently than I can at the moment. So.
Which is so goddamn.
Luffy is a terrorist. Yeah, he is. He is.
I hate that. You're kind of right.
He is a freedom fighter in the most like honorable sense of the word. Quite literally fighting against an unjustifiable, corrupt military apparatus that is like holding the entire world hostage and the Navy. He's literally killing cops. Like he's killing sea cops and they're like, no, that's not politics. What do you mean? That's just like gum man having fun. Luffy is a terrorist.
It's true. Yeah, we talk about this, and I have lots of opinions on it because of the way in which names can be just applied by the enforceable body of power. You know, because it's the big stick that's saying that the weaker person is a terrorist, therefore they're able to get away with it. It's cold in here. Oh, it's so cold. Why is it so cold in here today? I woke up with a little bit of a headache. I'm sad to say. Shit. I wasn't paying attention to where the secret tunnel was. I think it was over here, right? Right! It was over here. Everyone was paying attention, right? Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Fuck. But yeah, you know, what are definitions even important for if you can call anybody you want a terrorist? You know, similar to the what we saw from the Columbia protests. You know, all of the students that were there that were saying, "Hey, we shouldn't pay money into a genocide." They were funded by Hamas. They were Hamas. They were the enemy, the aggressor. So many doors to go through. Really making me work for it this round. Which means I'm bound to get a drop, right? Which means I'm bound to get a drop, right? Am I missing a brother? Oh well. That's what happens when you miss a brother, I suppose. To Draenor. What an exciting day. What an exciting day. So this executive order came out last night. What else happened yesterday? They've been alluding to this for around like a week or so. Incredibly exciting stuff. Let's look at the highlights from the RFK, whatchamacallit. I say I did not spell that correctly. All right, we're gonna play just a little bit of music because I'm going to step away very quickly. Actually, let's not play music. Let's listen to
Jimothy Kimmel is returning to air. Disney announces. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
This was a community standing up for the rights of Jimmy Kimmel and all people who speak in public, entertainers and journalists and all of them, and it worked at least with the head of Disney, and it makes good sense because they would have won in court. One thing that gets lost in this: you do not lose your First Amendment rights because you have a broadcast license. Supreme Court has been clear on this. The government cannot take your license because of speech they don't like.
Yeah, I mean, there are degrees to this. There are still types of speech and different classes of people in the eyes of this administration. Those who this administration consider to be discardable, right? Migrants, for example. This is a major corporation that has the financial power to push back against the administration. And I was very worried, very concerned that this major corporation would actually cave to the administration's demands, no matter how unreasonable or unjust they may be. It turns out there is enough pushback from the public that the major corporation decided probably not the best idea to capitulate to the Trump administration's demands. Having said that, the attacks against free speech did not start with Jimmy Kimmel. The attacks on the First Amendment did not begin with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel simply was seen by enough members of the public as an overreach. The attacks against the First Amendment have been ongoing around pro-Palestinian advocacy, even under the Biden administration, and certainly escalated under the Trump administration. And it is a real shame that mainstream outlets did not adequately cover that when it was happening. It's really frustrating. So remember, the fight continues. So it is upon all of us to tie back this attack on the First Amendment, this clear-cut attack on the First Amendment, back to the clear-cut attack that is ongoing against pro-Palestinian advocacy. We have to try and get people to recognize that this isn't just about Disney capitulating. This isn't just we cannot rely exclusively on big corporations to fight back. Yeah, we vote with our dollars. People are boycotting Disney and canceling their streaming subscriptions. I know, a lot of people did that. Google searches for cancel Disney Plus and cancel Hulu have spiked in the day since the network suspension. Some people were stating that they lost almost $5 billion in revenue in a very short period of time. I'm not so certain that this was part of the pressure, but I mean, I'm sure it helped. Or stock price, not revenue, sorry. Yeah, their stock price fell. They lost $5 billion in market cap, so they lost value, not revenue directly. But I'm sure they lost some revenue, which is why they lost value as well. Do you predict Nexstar and Sinclair will air Kimmel, or will they continue the cancellation? I can see them continuing their cancellation because they're much more right-wing and much more. They have more to lose. They can't appear to be resisting against the administration in any capacity because of the FCC and because of the merger that is imminent for Nexstar. Sinclair is already incredibly right-wing. Nexstar is already incredibly right-wing. And on top of that, they have a mega merger that's coming up. TPUSA spokesperson Andrew Colvet is saying Disney and ABC caving and allowing Kimmel back on the air is not surprising, but it's their first mistake to make. Nexstar and Sinclair do not have to make that same choice. Once again, I am, I guess, not so shocked, but still very much annoyed that this is the major mover and shaker event for a lot of people. I don't want to be the friend who's too woke, but these are consequential decisions being made, which is why I took it seriously at the time. The fight is far larger than Jimmy Kimmel, okay? If your goal is to defend the First Amendment, if your goal is to defend free speech, you must understand that this extends far beyond just Jimmy Kimmel losing its time slot. But it's good. It's an eye-opening moment for a lot of people. A lot of people who don't really give a shit about Jimmy Kimmel either, by the way. But they saw, it's not like Jimmy Kimmel had this many loyal fans, myself included. I don't give a right? But the reason why a lot of people got mad, even conservatives, as a matter of fact, got mad. Ted Cruz was like, this is crazy. This is mafia.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. So again, I like Brendan Carr, but we should not be in this business. We should denounce it. It's fine to say what Jimmy Kimmel said was deplorable, it was disgraceful, and he should be off air, but we shouldn't be threatening government power to force him off air. That's a real mistake.
The reason why they were doing that, the reason why they were saying that was because there are still Americans who value the First Amendment. There are still Americans who value freedom of speech. The Trump administration has made a calculation that Americans that value the First Amendment and free speech also are very racist. So they're racist enough to not give a when it is eroded at the point of immigration enforcement and it is eroded at the point of pro-Palestinian advocacy, right? And they have been somewhat successful in that endeavor. They have revoked student visas. They have denied visas to people, not on the basis of like being too critical of Israel, but also on the basis of like, being critical of Charlie Kirk even, right? That's a real thing that's taking place. So it is upon us to remind people that this is not like this is a victory that should galvanize us, and we should use the renewed enthusiasm to continue pushing back against this administration's unfavorable policies that represent a change in the way that we value the First Amendment, that represent an erosion of the freedom of speech.
We have a right to free speech in this country. The president supports it. It is protected by our beautiful Constitution. And Americans should not cower in fear. They should rise up in courage to continue speaking the truth.
What do you think about what you're hearing from the White House there as we just get this news that Jimmy Kimmel will return to air tomorrow night?
Right. Well, see what the White House says. Everybody should speak up except the ones that the president doesn't like. He just barked at my former colleague, Jonathan Karl. Maybe we'll come after you. Because
yeah, this is the thing, okay? When it's a white dude who's rich, who's a Hollywood guy, and he gets silenced like this, he gets suppressed like this, then all of a sudden it is a reminder for a lot of people that are also in the same position, if not as popular as Jimmy Kimmel, to go, oh shit, they're going to come after us too. Does that make sense? Jimmy Kimmel is not expected to have made any compromise to bring us back a show following the huge backlash that Disney got. Jimmy will say what Jimmy wants to, says one source about a show tomorrow. Trump has not responded to that so far. And the update on this is that Sinclair Broadcasting Group is still refusing to play Jimmy Kimmel's show when it restarts tomorrow. And the broadcaster had previously demanded an apology from Kimmel and a donation to Turning Point USA for them to broadcast the show. So there's that. Your prediction was right, by the way. Yeah,
Great.
Sinclair Broadcast Group, which owns 31 ABC affiliates, says it will continue to preempt Jimmy Kimmel's show. Beginning Tuesday night, Sinclair will be preempting Jimmy Kimmel Live across our ABC affiliate stations and replacing it with news programming. Discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return. Yeah, I told you, these guys are already right-wing, and they love being a part of the Trump admin's network of influence. So they're willing to take this, like...
Oh, come here, come here. Go get it, buddy. Sorry, Luffy. I didn't know you were over there. So yesterday, if you were around, you'll remember I made a bet. I was silly and had the assumption that they would be saying that the problem with autism was going to be trans people. I was wrong. Tylenol. I heard that there were rumors that that was going to be the direction that they were going with, and I was thinking to myself, no, surely it'll be something much more corrupt than just Tylenol. No, it was Tylenol. They're going after Tylenol, which feels like a multi-purpose attack. I mean, I love the memories of the Trump admin telling people what to do medically, with like telling people to take horse tranquilizers en masse. Still, when you go onto Truth Social, when you look at the ads that they subject you to, pop-ups or otherwise, you still see ivermectin ads. Because it's just a cash grab. It's just all a grift. It's just all a grift. But yeah, they say Tylenol is what that pesky Tylenol. I think this is the wrong one. That is the wrong one. Tylenol is a pain medicine, as we all know. Now the problem, or at least what I think partial motivation behind this is continued punishment of women. One of the things about being pregnant is that you're already told not to take ibuprofen. And so by taking away another piece of medicine from women to be able to use as they need is another opportunity for, women to be in pain. Another source of control over women. Which is never my favorite thing. You have to bear our children, and you have to be in as much pain as possible while doing so. You know? Feels gross in my mind. What do I know? What do I know?
You have been listening to this event, of course, at the White House with President Trump. That big announcement on this new warning on a key ingredient found in pain relievers like Tylenol, linking it to autism. Although there are questions about the science behind some of these recent studies, causation versus correlation, etc. Scientists have been looking at this potential link between autism and acetaminophen for years, but the data, according to experts, has been fairly inconclusive at best. And major medical groups say acetaminophen is one of the only safe pain relievers for women during pregnancy. We're going to come back into this event once the president, if he does, starts to take questions or speaks again. So we'll leave it.
Women. I thought they were defenders of women. I thought Trump was going to take care of the women. Now they're linking it to autism, specifically saying you can't take this medicine that gives you relief during pregnancy because it causes autism. I mean, like, this works for the evangelical Christians who are already anti-medicine and eat this shit up and don't want anything and believes it's a you know, poison or whatnot. But this is really gross. Aside from punishing pregnant women, you also punish people in general by doing this. But it always goes back to the thoughts that I have about what is the purpose behind this, like the fascistic ideal of like cleansing this purge of autism out of the world. And you know, they make claims that there's so many more autistic people now than there were just 20 years ago. To which I just say, you know, like autism is a thing that's socially defined, and so therefore, as is a social definition, it's based off of social rules. That there's always going to be different ways in which the condition can interact with people, in which those who have autism can be defined as such. It's a large engrossing definition, and the idea that people just weren't autistic until a few years ago is just laughable. It's just when, like, I remember I was talking to my dad at one point. My dad and stepmom, and we were talking about autism in the family, and I mentioned that I thought I was autistic. Although I've never gotten officially diagnosed, all the signs have been there my entire life, and my stepmom made the comment of, "Oh, well, I don't know where you would have gotten that from. There's no autism in your dad's side of the family, so it must have come from your mom's." Fast forward to later that night, my dad says, as we were staying up late because we didn't want to go to bed, he looks at me and he says, "All right, you want to see every dice I've ever owned?" And he pulls out his special dice box that has every dice that he's ever owned, including all the ones that he's made from his childhood. And he goes on to tell me each one and why each one was important. And I was just thinking back to that earlier conversation of, oh yeah, it's not in there anywhere. It's nowhere in there. So yes, this idea that it didn't exist is laughable. It's simply just, you know, people didn't have a name for it, or, you know, there's so much stigma around it. People don't want to admit that they have it. Like, I remember years and years ago, people that now are super, you know, are super supportive of the autism community, advocates, allies, warriors of, that were, you know, saying in 2014, 2015, like, oh, I'm not sure about these vaccines. They might be linked to autism, and having to talk them down from that ledge. But like the brain rot is a poison, and if you don't actively fight against it, it seeps into your mind and breaks you down. It worms its way in, because like they try to work off of like caveman thinking as much as possible, but they want you to buy into it, and that's where like the indoctrination from like religion helps, because you know, if you don't have a good case for critical thinking, then you're not going to be able to look past the lies that the people that you like are telling you. Anyway, fascists have a weird desire with cleansing whatever they think is unpure, and usually that stems from their own insecurities about various things, whether that's their own sexual inadequacies, whether that's the size of their hands, or the fact that they are a failure that squandered their father's fortune. All these options, whether they, you know, were a beaten artist stuff and decided to take it out on society, or you know, you were made fun of by a couple of Hispanic kids in your SoCal public school growing up, and so you decide that you're going to be a Nazi for the rest of your life, like Stephen Miller. All these different options for why these people become Nazis and fascists. You know, narcissism plays a big role. Hate plays a big role, but like, you have to know you're a supervillain. Also, like, what the fuck are we doing? Why do we take Dr. Oz seriously? I mean, I know we don't. But like, we've got some pretty big reality TV stars up on screen right now. And total boss kills. Have I done that yet? That was not a great drop. Draenor. Oh, Bears. I love you. Always been a big Bears fan. Hi, Ozzy. Do you see me stretching and think, oh, now's my chance to get in there? Now's my opportunity to run up and get some pets. Oh, hello, buddy boy. Oh, such a sweet guy. Oh, what a sweet guy. Don't. Your tail's gonna ruin everything. Per usual. You're so good at that, Ozzy. You're the Antifa militant, aren't you? It was Oswald all along. Oh, hi, buddy. It was the It was the friends we made along the way all along.
Up there, but I want to bring in, as we've got team coverage here, our medical correspondent, Erica Edwards. Dr. Kavita Patel is also with us, as is Vaughn Hilliard. Erica Edwards, let me start with you here, because you heard the president in extraordinarily clear terms say, don't use Tylenol, as he said, Tylenol. Again, being clear, we're talking about acetaminophen
Tylenol's got
here.
a sue, right?
Give us a context check on some of this, because there are some questions regarding what the president and his health secretary are putting forward.
You know, this was an extraordinary announcement, mainly because of the misinformation that I heard from our president. Starting with the numbers of autism cases in the U.S., he was claiming that it was 1 in, I don't know, whatever 1,000, just 20 years ago. Let's put it this way. In 2000, there was 1 in 150 kids with autism in this country. In 2016, it was 1 in 54. Now, it's 1 in 31. And experts who have been studying autism for decades say that there's nothing new going on biologically, but it's because we have increased awareness and that we have expanded the definition of autism spectrum disorder.
God damn, I'm so smart. That's what I said. That's what I said. I'm so smart.
As many as 65% of pregnant women take Tylenol sometime in their pregnancy. And so, you know, the doctors I've talked with said that there's absolutely no evidence that linking acetaminophen with autism. In fact, there was a huge study last year published looking at kids with autism and their siblings, right? They have similar genetics, they have similar, environmental exposures. There was no link with that major study. Hallie.
There's another question, too, related to, why pregnant women would be taking acetaminophen in the first place if they have, for example, a fever. We know that some of these expert groups, these medical organizations have said that can actually be very dangerous for pregnant women, too.
Because fevers indicate infection, right? So if you have a fever, you take Tylenol to get rid of that or to sort of bring down your body temperature. Fevers in utero have been linked to dehydration in the developing babies, and that could itself cause problems.
I want to come to Dr. Kavita Patel here, who's been listening along with us. One of the things that Erica referenced, too, the idea that we have a better understanding of autism spectrum disorder, that there is more awareness of it, is why this comparison that the president made to Cuba is one that experts question as well. This idea that Cuba has lower rates of autism because they don't use as much acetaminophen.
Right. We know also that the rates of autism have not necessarily been this.
I think it's incredible that he's happy to use Cuba as a point of praise, when at any other point Cuba is used by as a tool of the right, as a fascistic communist. Oh God, that's a terrible chest. When does my actual loot drop kick in? Has that already kicked in? But I remember Bernie Sanders during the Democratic debate was praising Cuba for their literacy rates, for their life expectancy rates, for their infant mortality rates, because they're beating America in every single regard. And every single pundit on Fox News referred to him as, praising communists and praising, Mao China and shit, the typical stuff that you hear whenever Red Scare is brought up and these boomers melt down at the idea of a socialist state. But for, Cuba has more doctors per capita than America, a higher literacy rate, higher life expectancy. And because of the embargo that America has on Cuba, they have specifically, I think it's 3 different types. I know it's at least 2 different types of lung cancer treatment that is doing very well against lung cancer, and we just don't have access to it because we don't use their stuff. We refuse to buy their stuff. We embargo them. But now he's happy to use Cuba. Now he's happy to, because they apparently have lower autistic rates in society than we do. You're happy to use Cuba as a talking point to prove your point, to try to prove the message you're trying to paint. But that's also we were talking yesterday about the way that the way in which the right uses truths to make a point to their base as well as to the left and to Democrats, like the way in which they complain about or they say, Democrats don't have a strong leadership right now, and it's like, well, obviously, yes, that's true. They don't want us to have a strong leadership. They mean to divide us as much as possible, but they still bring it up as a point. It's a true thing. And they use it to their advantage. But by the same notion, they sure are happy we don't have organized leadership.
This massive shift just because of all this causality, which, by the way, even these studies between Tylenol were not done in a way where you could demonstrate that causal link.
Pause there. Can you explain that difference? Because that's super, super important.
All right, so let's take the Harvard study that you just heard about. That was actually what we call a systematic review it's a review of other studies. They included 46 studies, 100,000 people, lots of people, but it was a lot of different studies that were done for different purposes, and then they just retrospectively kind of looked and tried to see if there was any association. So I'll give you the analogy. They may have found that people who took Tylenol had children that had some sort of autism spectrum disorder, but they never necessarily also teased out if they had access to prenatal care, if they also had other things that could have contributed to that diagnosis of ASD. So I think to distill it all to some one thing cause the other is actually not reading the study the way that Harvard intended for it to be done.
We've also heard
Imagine
now
that.
the administration and these top health officials, as we're listening, obviously keeping an ear on this, wanting to make sure that we're getting the context checks into, talk about offering folate and the prevalence of folate here to people who do have autism.
Right, and there's been so much that's been talked about, and we're still kind of hearing it unfold, but there has been a leak, and already now we're seeing the demonstration of this kind of link with a potential treatment for autism spectrum disorder. You heard FDA, NIH, CMS, and now the secretary saying that, well, we have this potential that could be a treatment for autism spectrum disorder. Let me be clear, those studies have been small, they're promising, and I think what it does is it misaligns that we know that autism spectrum disorder is not one thing, and there's not one manifestation. So is there a potential for leucovorin, which is basically a more active form of folate, which is a basic element that we should have in our leafy greens and vegetables? There has been studies that have shown that potentially the uptake of folic acid into the brain is one of many reasons that we can see a representation of autism in children. So I think that it's a very important set of studies to do, but one could argue, and I would, that we have so many other things that we could link and also explore. And so I'm very interested in what the NIH is standing up to understand, are there other studies being done?
Right.
And then I would love to kind of make sure that what I'm worried about right now is that if I'm a mother with a child with autism,
right.
I want to call and get on this medication. It's an oral pill given sometimes in 2 doses a day. Why can't I get it? Well, because we just don't know if that will actually help. And we don't want to give anything that could potentially harm or mislead people from a potential treatment that we don't even have for autism spectrum disorder today.
What if, Erica Edwards, let me go back to you and then we'll get to Vaughn Hilliard, but Erica, if you are a woman who is pregnant right now and you're watching this and you're going, well, wait a second, what am I supposed to do if I catch a cold, if I get a fever, et cetera? The advice is always, of course, talk to your doctor, talk to your personal doctor who knows you and who knows your personal health. But I wonder what you've heard from experts as you've been reporting this out over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, here's the deal. I mean, whether this checks out over time, the damage has been done. Women who are pregnant or are considering getting pregnant are now fearful of Tylenol. They're fearful of acetaminophen. And so that's what folks who I'm hearing from are most concerned about. And so, yes, of course, as you said, talk to your doctor. But yeah, I mean, the fear is already there. President Trump mentioned vaccines. That's also been debunked time and time again. But the fact that, the president of the United States has come out on this national platform to talk about these things is really major, right? And it's something that scientists, doctors have already sort of looked into. And my big question is, why now? Why today is this coming out? Because the doctors I've talked with said there's really no new research that we haven't heard about before that's leading to this particular announcement today, other than the fact that the secretary announced that, earlier this year that he would have some sort of answer by September.
I want to explain to you what we're hearing from Kenvue, which is the maker of Tylenol. Again, we're talking more generally about acetaminophen, at least the health secretary is, although you heard the president very directly point to Tylenol here. And Kenvue says that we believe independent sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. They go on to say, we strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise and are deeply concerned with the health risk this poses for expecting mothers. They say, Dr. Patel, it's the safest pain reliever option for pregnant women as needed. And without it, and this is what I think is what Erica was speaking to too, without it, women face dangerous choices, suffer through conditions like fever that are potentially harmful to both mom and baby, or do something else, use an alternative that could potentially be riskier.
Right, or pain. I mean, a lot of what we do is I've got patients who are pregnant with migraines, with headaches, with back pain, all sorts of things. And just weighing the risk and the benefit of acetaminophen for that mother in that situation is exactly what we do. By the way, we don't just say take as much acetaminophen as you want. We actually have, and the standards for the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the American Medical Association, every single major association has said use it in a sparing way to weigh the benefit and risks, but not because we see this causal link, but just because we tell that to pregnant women about almost everything.
That's right.
We tell women to avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs
What
because
do they
of
say a minute ago?
something that could potentially harm or mislead people, to kind of make sure that
We talk about the way in which, I say we, I talk, I talk about the way in which Republicans and specifically fascists and specifically this administration, you know, the insecure cry bullies that we know them to be, they love to project. They love to claim that the other side is doing the things that in fact they are doing, and I think this is a great example of that.
many other things that we could link and also explore. And so I'm very interested in what the NIH is standing up to understand, are there other studies being done?
Right.
And then I would love to kind of make sure that what I'm worried about right now is that if I'm a mother with a child with autism.
And so I was trying to remember where I was going with that. Hello, my headphones are broke. Hello, hi, hello, how are you? Hello. I can't reply in chat, unfortunately. I'm not logged in on my chat at the moment. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Derek's plate body. Let's go. That's 2 pieces of barrows complete. And our Soul Reaper task done. Let's go back to death, Draenor. But the way in which the fascists love to project by claiming that Antifa are the terrorists, Antifa are the ones aggressing, and Antifa are the ones that are harassing individuals, when in fact it's the Trump administration that are making women go through pain, that are making women fearful over the fact that they don't know if they are going to be able to get an abortion if they are in a state that doesn't allow for it and they have a mystophic pregnancy. Like the what was that? Oh, tomorrow. Damn it. Oh, whatever. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll just keep doing barrows. All right, so we have 2 pieces of barrows. That's pretty exciting. Touch Wars Insignia. Let's go for the 10 boss kills so we can unlock the War Retreat teleport, because that'll be quite nice to have. What does it require? I don't know if it requires any runes. We'll see. But yeah, it's in fact the JJJH. It is in fact the Republicans that are doing the terrorizing of women. Republicans that are doing the terrorizing of people in the streets. Republicans that are doing the acts of aggression, causing violence upon people. It is the Republicans that are funding the political operatives that manage to radicalize the youth in this country. Again, everything that they're claiming that is the left that's doing it is in fact it is the Republicans. It is the conservatives. It is the MAGA heads. It is the moderates that vote for these people. Now, if you regret your vote, you can be talked off a ledge, then come on back to the Tea Party. We could use the help. We could use some assistance. But until you're back ready to help, I've got beef with you, you know? I'm doing good. How are you, Jows? Zhao?
Right. I want to run, I want to call and get on this medication. It's an oral pill given sometimes in 2 doses a day. Why can't I get it? Well, because we just don't know if that will actually help. And we don't want to give anything that could potentially harm or mislead people from weigh the benefit and risks, but not because we see this causal link, but just because we tell that to pregnant women about almost everything. That's right. We tell women to avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs because of some risks potentially to the fetus. We tell women to avoid soft cheese because there might be a bacterial infection. We
Let's
avoid
go cheese. I can talk about cheese. Yeah, pregnant women shouldn't be eating unpasteurized cheeses or young cheeses. There's a higher risk for listeria. Another harmful bacteria in unpasteurized cheese because it doesn't go because you don't pasteurize it. It's not safe. You should not be drinking. There's a whole kick for it right now. You should not be drinking unpasteurized milk. It does nothing but harm you. There are no benefits to your health that it will provide you that you can't get from better sources elsewhere. It can only introduce harm into your life.
alcohol and
Turkey
tobacco.
right,
It's exactly right. So we put this in line with where we see risk and benefit, and this is Tylenol, acetaminophen, is one of the safest things we can give.
But now, Von Hilliard, you have the levers of government that are behind this move, from Secretary Kennedy, who, noted and longtime vaccine skeptic here, from President Trump as well, as they are suggesting now. Secretary Kennedy says that the FDA is going to initiate the process on the safety label change for acetaminophen here. And some of the language here, I think, is absolutely worth noting, because you heard Secretary Kennedy invoke the phrase, "believe all women," which had long been used as a phrase since really the Me Too movement for sexual assault victims and survivors. And his suggestion is that you've also got to believe women, mothers, who have children with autism as well. The language around this, obviously political and health announcement, is, I think, worth talking about.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at the...
How gross to take, I mean, like the way in which you take a symbol and alter it to benefit your own political movement. That sounds familiar. You know how there's a Indian symbol that means something along the lines of everlasting peace that the Nazis took and turned into their swastika? Taking something that has a meaning, like we need to protect women, we need to make sure that women are protected, especially when they are victims and they are in the sensitive process of coming forward about their assaults and need to be protected. We need to believe them. Taking that and turning it into, we need to make sure that women go through pain during their pregnancies because we believe and love them just so much. We need to make sure that they are reminded that God is mad at them because they ate the forbidden fruit. Yo, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Oh, my alerts are all fucked up. I just saw it. Oh, search. Hey, another shitty chest. What a surprise. What a surprise. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. La-di-da-di-da. Let's go to Draenor, that's right. Actually, while I'm looking at this, let's put you right there, and I can make... Oh, yeah. I have all the things I want to see. After 10 total boss kills, you've killed 8 the Barrows brothers. So one more Barrows and I should have the War's Retreat teleport unlocked, which will save me a couple seconds here and there. That'll surely be nice. We deposit the plate body. I like that we got 2 Derek items to start with. We're going for the full Derek set, I guess. I don't want to go ahead and put them on. I mean, I would prefer power armor as opposed to tank, but I guess I can't really complain too much. I need to focus on getting some jewelry at some point. Some good old jewelry. I have so many upgrades I can get, but I am just having fun doing some Barrows right now. No, I don't want the hidden tunnel. Alright, so hidden tunnels, first mound.
Two men's relationship. There were a lot of questions that people were speculating whether Secretary Kennedy would be pushed out the door in the past weeks over the firing of the 17 members of the advisory committee on vaccines. And yet we have not heard publicly any reason from the president to question the actions of Secretary Kennedy. And, you know, I was out on the campaign trail with the two men in 2024, and then candidate Trump made very specifically that he was going to let Kennedy, quote, go wild on vaccines and anything else he wanted to go. And so in large part, this moment here at the White House is affirmation from the President of the United States to the decades-old work that Secretary Kennedy has taken on. And I think that that is where, even in this moment here, you heard the president use, you know, sort of playing almost doctor role there in a way that it's hard not to take you back to 2020 during the COVID response to the recommendations that he was providing that typically would come from medical professionals. But the president himself said, quote, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. And he says taking Tylenol is not good. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. Now, we should be clear. Just minutes later, Secretary Kennedy came out and did, as you guys just outlined, provide the scenarios and reasons why taking Tylenol has long benefited women during pregnancy here. And so I think this is a relationship between the two men. You know, the president suggested that they first met 20 years ago on this. I was at Trump Tower back in 2016 after President Trump won his first race, in which he welcomed Kennedy up to the Oval, or up to Trump Tower. And there are a lot of questions about where these two men's relationship would go, and ultimately President Trump backing the efforts of Secretary Kennedy here in real time.
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you very much for that. We're going to continue to listen in to this event at the White House. Dr. Kavita Patel, Vaughn Hilliard, Erica Edwards. We're going to keep you close as the president is speaking again. Let's actually go in and listen in case he does take a couple of questions here, just for a brief moment.
The term is used throughout this conference, so it's essentially Tylenol. And I just recommend strongly that you don't use Tylenol unless it's absolutely necessary. I understand it's maybe 10% of the women that are pregnant are, would perhaps be forced to use it.
It's worth noting here again, medical advice.
10% of women can expect to take Tylenol during pregnancy now? At any point during the pregnancy?
We're going to continue to listen to this in case the president does take a couple of questions. Let's listen for one more second.
Stronger from me than from the group because they're waiting for certain studies. I just want to say, I want to say it like it is. Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. If you just can't, I mean, it's fight like hell not to take it.
Fight like hell.
Where you have to, and that you have to work out with yourself. So don't take Tylenol.
The Democrats are trying to make you take Tylenol. Antifa wants you to take Tylenol.
Anyway, and it's so important to me to see the doctor 4 times or 5 times for a vaccine. Don't let them pump your baby up with the largest pile of stuff you've ever seen in your life going into the delicate little body of a baby. Even if it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you just break it up into, I would say 5, but let's say 4 visits to the doctor instead of 1. And certain things I think you should do. We've already taken out and are in the process of taking out mercury and aluminum now. You know what mercury is. You know what aluminum is. Who the hell wants that?
President Trump here, again, the manifestation of his health secretary's longtime vaccine skepticism. You're hearing some of the president's. He is just delivering advice to pregnant women who will listen. Dr. Kavita Patel, notable to you what the president's suggesting here.
I mean, I think it's kind of stunning because he even acknowledged that his own advisor standing behind him
would not go as far as
he would. So to say pregnant women should not take Tylenol, period, full stop, is pretty unusual. And then to link that somehow to vaccine schedules, as well as linking that to autism. If you can imagine, not just a pregnant woman, but even somebody who's thinking about what they did during their pregnancy is sitting there right now listening to this and thinking, what do I make out of it? And it's very hard when someone with no medical background is kind of offering, unfortunately, medical advice.
And again, we're talking about acetaminophen, which is in Tylenol, and the makers of Tylenol, just to reiterate here, have provided a slew of other studies that they say back up their assertion that they believe that sound science shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, we now have our teleport to get straight back to War's Retreat Incredible to see. Incredible content flying at us. Oh my goodness. People can't even take Tylenol anymore.
As a practicing doctor and someone who deeply cares about public health, I've been quite vocal about my criticism towards RFK Jr. I've said it on podcasts, on news programs, and frankly all over social media. I know many who support his message are frustrated with our healthcare system, with our lack of clear answers to some hard questions, with our poor communication and guidance throughout the pandemic. Know that I hear you and actually agree with you. We need to do better, and change can't come soon enough. We certainly need to be skeptical of our institutions, but healthy scientific skepticism means following data, not cherry picking it or making it.
It's really upsetting that we have to dedicate like a 45-second preamble to just, hey guys, I'm not attacking you. I'm not trying to be mean. A while ago, I watched the, I wonder if Jubilee's come out with anything recently. A while ago, I was watching the Dr. Mike Jubilee Surrounded, and it was, you know, doctor versus like 20 anti-vaxxers, anti-medicine or some shit. And it literally was a, that's hole number 4. Number 4. And the entire conversation was simply, I've been slighted by the medical field at some point in my life, and I'm going to blame you for it now as a face that I can point that anger to. There wasn't a single productive conversation that took place. It was just a lot of people that were upset about medicine and saw a doctor in a debate setting and said, I can yell at him about this. And so again, the 45-second, I'm not trying to attack you. Listen up, MAGA. When I'm saying that we need to follow science, I'm not saying that you're an idiot. I'm just saying we need to follow the science. I'm here to teach you the science. That's why I got a degree. You should listen to me and my science. But the oops, wrong button. It's just annoying to have to see him spend so much time placating to an audience of infants that are just going to not care what he has to say anyway, I guess. Like, so many calories are being spent saying, hey guys, I'm not trying to be mean, I just don't want you to die. And them responding, we want to die! Let us die! The president said it would be cool. Our president's always right. No matter what, they are ineffable. Except when Biden's president, then he's very effable. I think that's what they said. I think that was their claim, that Biden was very effable. They thought he was hot. They wanted to blow bubbles and sit on it. Barracks plate skirt. Fuck yeah, we'd love to see it. And then War's Retreat. Incredible content. We are there. Easy as pie. Barrows. And we're back. Wow, that was easy. Wow, that was easy and cool. We're learning so much about this game.
It up. Now, before we fact check some of the more extreme examples of misinformation, I want to show you who RFK Jr. really is, what he stands
I thought
for,
this came out a
and
day
why,
ago.
despite
This
some
was
of his
3 months
ideas
ago.
sounding good.
Jesus Christ. That came out yesterday. What happened to the UN?
Joel, what stood out to you?
Well, you know, Anna, this is Trump unconstrained, first and foremost. And clearly, he decided to get a lot off his chest. And, you know, I've been going to UN General Assemblies, either working on them or outside and speaking and meeting with people or commenting, of course, as well. Like this morning, I've never seen a speech like this. This was bonkers.
80
this
attack,
was
80
out
strength.
of control. It made no strategic sense. It did not lay out a vision for how we're going to actually achieve our goals in a multilateral forum. It did not talk about the threats the United States faces and what we need to do to counter them. Apparently, the biggest threat now is renewable energy. That's our #1 concern, not nuclear weapons or terrorism or China's encroachment in Asia or Russia's war against Ukraine. And so I found it incredibly damaging to America's standing in the world, damaging to our national security strategy, and damaging to how other countries are now going to deal with us, which means they're just going to move further and further away as this kind of communication and leadership continues.
And at least we've learned it was a 55-minute speech that broke his own record of speeches to the UN General Assembly, railing against the UN, at the UN. He was hammering NATO.
But thank God we have Israel clapping for him.
Against the UN, at the UN. He was hammering NATO over its handling of Russia. He criticized Europe for its handling of immigration, saying your countries are going to hell. Your thoughts on the tone and the message he gave in front of this audience?
Right. Well, it kind of reminds me of when Castro used to address the UN. You know, these long, rambling speeches, like a word salad, a stream of consciousness. Clearly, Trump is feeling more assertive in his second term. And he came in wanting to show that he's the peacemaker, mentioned the Nobel Prize several times, that he's really looking for it, and then American strength. And clearly, he has a lot of disdain for multilateral institutions. This we all knew. But instead of coming with a plan for reform, with ideas on how
I want the Nobel
US
Prize.
can take the lead.
I've stopped 75 wars. I've stopped. They say a war a day keeps the president away.
Leadership role, he just kind of ranted at them. And the U.S. really has, under President Trump, diminished its once great leadership role at the United Nations. And let's be honest, the United Nations needs a lot of reform.
Of course, they end on the most scuffed run.
And instead of helping drive that reform and drive the organization into the next 80 years, the theme this year is better together. You know, when you look at what the U.S. is doing, taking $1 billion from funding, pulling out of the World Trade Organization, pulling out of UNESCO, pulling out of the UN Human Rights Council, instead of working to reform it. And then the relationship with all of these allies are strained under the tariffs, under the approach towards Israel and not really doing anything to end. You know, President Trump, to his credit, is trying, but also really siding with Israel when the Palestinians
and the U.S. have become much more isolated.
Exactly, and you saw from yesterday this diminished U.S. influence. 140.
Like the Trump folks here
So they
in
don't
the
show
Middle
him say
East
anything.
were
That's
listening.
lame. No, that's not what I wanted.
President Trump officially signing an executive order designating Antifa as a domestic terror organization, all as the White House aims to crack down on the sources funding the group.
President Trump has promised he will directly address the dark sources funding and supporting this domestic terrorism to finally restore order in our country. The American people can expect further, very strong action on this very soon.
Oh, great.
Everyone, Republican, Democrat, everyone in between, we all deserve to live in a country where we do not have to fear for our lives simply for stating what we believe in.
Former Antifa activist Gabriel Nadales joins me now. Thanks so much for being on the program. And look, it is unclear at this point exactly
Antifa
what this
activist.
designation means legally. But, Gabriel, what are you hoping it means?
Well, you know, this is a long time coming, and I really hope that that Congress really follows suit and helps define what this means. But what some of these things means is that a lot of the self-described Antifa groups that are very localized, now we can actually call them legitimately domestic terrorist groups. And now there's a lot of ideas, or there's this idea that Antifa is merely an idea, and to an extent, that is true. But Antifa is a very collective or a specified set of ideas that believes in political violence to enact its own political goals. That is literally the definition of terrorism. So if you call Antifa just an idea, it is literally the definition or the idea of terrorism itself.
When you first heard about this move from the White House, did you think, okay, this is to get the folks dressed in black on the ground that you see destroying communities? Or did you think more so, like I said in the introduction, this is to find the people funding Antifa?
So it's really interesting because Antifa has several different sources of funding. One of the ways that I remember for back in my day, a lot of people did have jobs and they were self-funded. But I do know that there's been several different, I'm not sure specifically, it's not GoFundMe kind of thing, but websites like GoFundMe that will set fundraisers for Antifa activists to get them out of jail, to do all of these things. I remember several years ago that you had Representative Ocasio-Cortez supporting people to donate to bail people out of jail who were affiliated with Antifa. And there's also book author Mark Gray who wrote the book Antifa, the Anti-Fascist. Book affiliated. You had Representative Ocasio-Cortez supporting people to donate to bail people out of jail who were affiliated with Antifa. Will set fundraisers for Antifa activists to get them out of jail. But websites like GoFundMe that will ways that I remember for back in my day, a lot of people did have jobs and they were self-funded. But I do know that there's been several different.
So he's referring to like the the bail project. He's referring to the programs that work to get people out of arrest for like protesting Black Lives Matter. Cool, really good representative you have on the air.
Ray, who wrote the book Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, who actually donates a proceed of his books to certain unnamed Antifa-esque organizations. So there is definitely a lot of different sources of funding from from the grassroots level to a lot of different fundraisers and campaigns.
Do you think that this designation as a terror organization will force people to think twice about joining or funding Antifa? And I'm asking you this based upon your experience in this group, listening to the people, being alongside them. You think this slows Antifa down in any way, shape, or form?
Well, actually, I wrote about this on The Hill several years ago. I think maybe 5 years ago, that labeling Antifa a domestic terrorist organization would really have two effects. The first one is that it really will help law enforcement to really target some of these terror cells. But the second of all, it would be to a PR battle, because to an extent, Antifa continues to claim itself as the anti-fascist, and like, oh, if you are against Antifa, you're pro-fascist. But that's nothing can be further from the truth. To combat Antifa is to combat political violence, no matter where it comes from. Because to a certain extent, and actually to a great extent, whenever a lot of these Antifa activists, they are themselves the terrorists, they are themselves the fascists. So labeling them as such, as domestic terror groups, it really helps in the battle against Antifa in the PR realm, because it really shows them for what they are. They are a domestic terrorist movement.
Go suck yourself
before we
off.
let you go, why did you stop being an Antifa activist?
Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons why, but I always talk about how I started reading about Thomas Sowell and Milton Friedman. I really kind of opened my mind, and as soon as I started talking to my friends about these ideas at the time, they started calling me a capitalist pig and all these other things. They started ostracizing me because I dared to ask questions when I was still a kid. I was like 17. And, you know, that's kind of what opened my mind to see, like, well, what else is out there? So I started becoming involved in the liberty movement, and I slowly walked away from that. It was not a, like, overnight thing. It was a slow transition, but really that's some 10 years ago now.
I'd like to say that we're happy you're on the side of good, but, you know, I'm pretty sure the Antifa folks won't be happy I said that. I'm just going to have to deal with that. Gabriel Nadalis, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What a capitalist pig. Where's my group button? Group chat. Create a new group. Group teleport, RS3. Um, Community. Oh, there you are. There you are. Damn it. Ready. And can I teleport? You selected. Update group. Update group. Ready. Okay. That was slightly difficult. We got there. All right, let's see how a run of this does. Story mode. Toggle auto collect. You should already be on, right? Cool. Thank you. You're just gonna keep on spawning. Yeah. Dragonkin research notes. Oh my goodness. Y'all are doing so little damage. Why are you doing such little damage? Contrast mode. Anti-fire flask 1. Go grab that. you. Waiting for event to begin. Gross. How annoying. If I had a nickel.
Let's watch would-be Adolf Eichmann at Charlie Kirk event. Oh, you knew who I was talking about.
Oh, it's very easy.
Here
You know,
is-
I'm in favor of him being more public, by the way.
Here is Stephen Miller talking about everybody who opposes the Trump administration. He's talking certainly to all of you, and maybe more than who are listening to my voice. But everybody who opposes the Trump administration, this is what he has to say.
We'll defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army
Pause it.
that they
Pause
have.
it. Pause it. Now, the they are supposedly the they that killed Charlie Kirk. And the last I checked, now I know I've heard there is within TPUSA circles. I'm not going to, pretend like I'm, deaf to what I read on the internet or blind to it. I know there are people who are questioning the TPUSA guy because somehow the bullet, there was only an entry wound and not an exit wound, and somebody took a camera. I don't care about any of that because that's not the they he's talking about. The they he's talking about is you because of some former, or maybe not former, somebody who was raised in a conservative household around guns in a very religious, conservative setting. That's not my fault. That was not the upbringing that I gave him. But Stephen Miller would blame all of you for this guy's upbringing. This 22-year-old.
Clearly.
Despite this headline, no evidence, quote, found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk's shooting and left-wing groups. Officials
Well, listen,
say.
all we know about this
engineering
person
level.
is that he was steeped in gun training by his very, very conservative, MAGA-loving family. Where you go from there, listen, most of the rules and most of the things that you learn as a young adult were taught to you when you were a young child. As a parent, that's the only thing I know. It's like, the stuff comes back around. I see.
Maybe it was that 6 months at college.
But the
Distance learning.
that Stephen Miller is talking about is 50% of the country who disagree with Donald Trump. Maybe more at this point. I don't know. But somehow, according to Stephen Miller, you're responsible for this 22-year-old who grew up in a conservative family.
The deplorables, you might say.
Yeah, and this is what he says about you.
Conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create
Engineering levels
nothing.
coming in.
We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy. And we will
Good
devote
soundboard,
the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder.
Oh, well, thank
because
goodness.
of what you did to us. You have no idea. The dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization, to save the West, to save this republic.
Pause it for a second.
He
You know
sounds
what's
like he's ranting
fascinating
to a
about
girl
this?
who turned him down at prom.
Honestly, the thing that's fascinating about Stephen Miller is, first of all, he keeps repeating himself over and over again. Like, it's a total redundancy. This guy's a speechwriter.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have any substance. When you don't offer anything genuine in your rhetoric, with your platitudes. When all you offer is hogwash, that's all that's gonna be available. But yeah, professional speechwriter, Stephen Miller.
He keeps repeating the same refrain over and over again, and there's no build, there's no crescendo. Oh, let's keep hearing more.
I think that's it. I mean,
I vote for more public speaking. By
I
Stephen
agree.
Miller.
I agree. You can see why he's described as extremely off-putting in private by basically everybody that comes into contact with him. You see that little? I noticed this a lot. He's got this tick where, like, it's like, you know, the lizard person is readjusting himself underneath the skin, like where he does that thing with his neck.
It's entirely out his bottom lip.
Yeah.
His bottom lip, like Trump too.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's basically the shadow president, so he should show his face a little bit more, so people can get to know him.
We need more Stephen Miller.
By the way, the Department of Homeland Security designated the service as a top-level security event akin to the Super Bowl or New York City Marathon. My guess is that they had some metal detectors there and that people weren't able to open carry throughout the event. I wouldn't be shocked if that
Sounds
were
like
the
an
case.
infringement of the Second Amendment to me.
Why? Why? I thought guns make people more safe.
Have you seen the images of, like, the amount of trash that was left there? Will you pop that up? This is, I mean, I was offended for Charlie Kirk because to leave this much garbage outside, I mean, like, look, listen, I've been to public events before, there's garbage, but this is shocking to me. People left, like, bottles. There's video of this too. Go find the video. People walking around, like, the amount of garbage left outside there. And I'm sorry, if you leave your chair there for whatever reason, go pick it up on your way out.
Where's the National Guard to kind of clean this damn place up?
I mean, this is
it feels like
crime
a
if I've seen it.
desecration.
I don't.
They're making our country ugly. These people should be arrested. This is like hate crime towards, like, America. They're gonna dirty up our streets. So
Look,
ridiculous.
I am not going to, in any way, like, sort of make some type of grand statement as to the lack
my
of civic
output
pride
better for damage.
of these people because of the behavior here. But it's very, very hard not to.
Well, when they talk about making America great again, they want to go to pre-littering laws in the 1940s.
Look
Yeah.
at the garbage. The enormous amount of garbage.
Oh, you're referring to the trash.
Yes.
So you come into my city for to trash it? Come on, man. Respect my city.
I mean, I'll tell you something. I've seen even worse videos from there, and I'm just surprised. Color me surprised.
I would have expected better.
I mean, you're going to a memorial, for gosh sakes. And I think Charlie Kirk was from Arizona. Why treat it with such utter, like, it goes beyond disrespect. It's like disdain.
Was the Klan that sloppy?
Oh my God, really?
It's also, Stephen Miller says we're the ones who build. I guess.
Piles of trash.
Yeah, right.
That was really unfortunate. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check.
That's funny. Oh, it was just so messy. Got anything good yet? The chest is empty. What do you mean the chest is empty? Well, let's try our luck with a Stellarn. Fine, we're healing back all the damage we're taking. Again, I wish my damage output was better, but I can worry about that later. I mean, honestly, I think I can just tank all of the damage and be totally fine. The way this is going so far, it's just a matter of getting through and doing the damage. Oh my goodness, what crazy times.
Breaking news from Capitol Hill with just days left to avoid a government shutdown. President Trump is canceling plans to meet with top Democrats to hammer out a deal. In a rambling Truth Social post just before he stood up to address the UN, President Trump wrote, quote, after reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands of the minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open, I've decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. Now, he went on to list multiple items he claims Democrats are demanding: free health care for undocumented immigrants, open borders, and, quote, transgender operation for everybody. But those are actually not on their list. These are the Democrats' actual demands.
Because why would the Democrats actually demand anything of meaning? Let's look what the Democrats are demanding: Obama subsidies extension, roll back huge Medicaid cuts, and the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. No more recession packages. Cool. This is what we're fighting for. We can't demand free health care because that would be far too much. We already know we can't afford that. We've got to pay for war.
Extension of expiring Obamacare subsidies, rolling back Republican cuts to Medicaid, and a promise that the White House would not eliminate spending after it is approved by Congress. Excellent. Reporters are back. Look, we're a week away. Democrats, of course, have leverage. Everyone says, well, the Republicans will control Congress. Democrats need to give the votes for it to pass the Senate, which is why their view is critical here. But we are entering a moment where this is feeling pretty serious right now.
It's feeling pretty serious because all the sides are very much locked in. You have Speaker Johnson saying he's not going to bring the House back to pass any sort of funding legislation that may be different than what the House has already passed. You have Schumer and Jeffries, the Democratic leaders, not backing down from their demands. And if we had seen any sort of, kernels of progress with this proposed Thursday meeting between the president and Democratic leaders, it's obviously gone now with the meeting being canceled by the president on his Truth Social account today. Weird things can happen at the last minute, obviously, as we know when it comes to shutdowns. But right now, I think the forecast of, the government shuttering seems pretty high.
Because Democrats think that they have a winning message here. The question is, will the American people agree if there is a shutdown, and if it's a painful shutdown, which they almost always are, especially if it's a prolonged one. This is what the Democratic leaders said in the aftermath of Trump canceling the meeting. Hakeem Jeffries said, Trump always chickens out. He said he canceled a high-stakes meeting.
Oh, he called him a chicken.
Extremists want to shut down the government because they are unwilling to.
Called him a chicken. Isn't that cool, everybody?
Devastating America.
He's leading us.
Trump was throwing a temper tantrum, and that Trump would own a shutdown. What do you think of that political strategy?
I don't know.
And the messaging.
I think we're going to shut down. I shouldn't make predictions, but it seems like we're going to shut down. The conversation on Capitol Hill last week, with the exception of this little 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah, I need to work on upping my damage.
Canceled. The smart question on Capitol Hill wasn't if we're going to shut down, it's how long the shutdown is going to be. I'm sure all of us have kind of picked that up in our reporting. The thing about shutdowns, easy to get into, harder to get out. But both sides are convinced they have a winning hand. And normally you say that you're able to sort of judge, he's bluffing a little bit, and that's just posturing. Doesn't seem like it right now. So, again, things can change, but it doesn't look great.
It's a gamble for Democrats, but I would argue it is a gamble that they have to take because their voters are demanding it. We remember the last time that we were in this scenario, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer got a lot of pushback, and so they have to appear as if they are at least putting up a fight. I will say, though, I remember when not long ago...
I love where we're at. Fascism is on the rise, and Democrats have to appear as though they're putting up a fight. Hello, welcome in. I hope you're doing well today. We're bossing in RuneScape, playing against some big bosses and watching the news as Antifa has been officially designated a terrorist organization. So all of you liberals and leftists, watch out. You're terrorists now. If you say anything the government doesn't like, you're a terrorist. Who knows the legal implications? They didn't tell us anything about that. Who needs any information there, Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a good day. But yeah, this is what we can expect. Democrats have to pretend that they're doing something that they're working towards. Gross.
McConnell was the majority leader, and he hated shutdowns. And he often said that it was because there was never a policy victory for the group that instigated it. And so Democrats have to go into this sort of, yes, showing their base that they're willing to fight, but also sober-minded about what policy achievement they are trying to reach.
That's the thing. It's like, what can they actually win here? Because Trump's not going to reverse the cuts that were in the One Big Beautiful Bill, which they're demanding. They want to extend these Obamacare subsidies, and this is the impact of what happened to these Obamacare subsidies. Are expiring at the end of the year. If they are not extended, 22 million people will see their premiums increase, 4 million people will lose insurance, $350 billion is the cost of extending Obamacare subsidies. That's the cost to the federal taxpayer. But it's a complicated policy that requires a
4 million people off of health insurance that could be on health insurance. We don't care about that.
Republicans in charge. That's not going to get done by Tuesday. So what can they actually achieve, Democrats, if they don't supply the votes, they block a Republican bill, and there's a shutdown?
It's a really good question. I think that on its surface, this seems like something that could be politically wise. You're highlighting an issue that's an increasing vulnerability for the president. The Medicaid cuts that were in Trump's big agenda bill were not popular. They'd like to keep the focus on that. I do wonder how much this is a messaging exercise and not something that they ultimately believe they're going to get something out of. Are they going to focus things on this issue, recognizing that they're probably not going to get anything out of this, and maybe maybe having a short shutdown ultimately. You know, we've had a lot of shutdowns over the years, and it's kind of become less and less of a political factor in later elections. And so this feels to me like Democrats feeling like they have to fight. We'll see if they actually feel like they need to take.
Because we're getting desensitized to everything. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is. We're getting desensitized to it. Whether it's death, whether it's National Guard in our streets, whether it's a violent police state, whether it's genocide, whether it's the fact that Democrats aren't going to fight for you. But what was their list of things that they're claiming Trump is saying that Democrats are fighting for?
Reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands of minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open, I've decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive. Now, he went on to list multiple items he claims Democrats are demanding. Free health care for undocumented immigrants, open borders.
Oh, free health care just for undocumented immigrants is what apparently Trump is saying that Democrats are fighting for and potentially going to cause a shutdown over.
And quote, transgender operations for everybody.
Transgender
But those
operations,
are actually not on their list. These are the Democrats' actual demands.
So he's just lying about what they care about, and even the things that they're saying that Democrats care about, which would be cool if Democrats actually did believe in free healthcare for all, but at the end of the day, they don't. Otherwise, they'd fight harder for it.
If they don't supply the votes, they block a Republican bill, and there's a shutdown.
It's a really good question. I think that on its surface, this seems like something that could be politically wise. You know, you're highlighting an issue that's an increasing vulnerability for the president. The Medicaid cuts that were in Trump's big agenda bill were not popular. They'd like to keep the focus on that. I do wonder how much this is a messaging exercise and not something that they ultimately believe they're going to get something out of. Are they going to focus things on this issue, recognizing that they're probably not going to get anything out of this, and maybe having a short shutdown ultimately? You know, we've had a lot of shutdowns over the years, and it's kind of become less and less of a political factor in later elections. And so this feels to me like Democrats feeling like they have to fight. We'll see if they actually feel like they need to take it that far.
And remember what the Republican proposal is. It's essentially a clean spending bill. There's really not any there's not a poison pill on there that Democrats can't accept. It's a 7-week extension of government funding.
Well, I think that's why Democratic leaders are so focused on the messaging war right now and trying to make a case. Because, I mean, we've all covered a lot of shutdowns in various iterations. And if there is a general rule of who gets the blame, it's often the party that asks for something extraneous. And, you know, that was like
defunding Obamacare.
Defunding Obamacare in 2013. You know, obviously the President Trump in his first term threatened to shut down the government if he didn't get that additional funding for his border wall. It had that dramatic showdown in the Oval Office. This time,
I remember that.
You know, setting aside just the value of these Obamacare subsidies that both Republicans and Democrats say they do want to work on, it is technically something extraneous to a funding bill. It's Republicans who are kind of arguing for the so-called clean government funding measure, and I don't know how. I don't know if that would be a difficult factor for Democratic leaders to overcome here.
I actually don't think it's that complicated. I think they're gonna, if they get into a short-term shutdown, you just have an argument about the ACA extensions, and it's a conversation about how long you extend them and who's eligible. And you know, the $350 billion that you mentioned, that's over a 10-year horizon. Most Republicans are probably more comfortable with a 1-year, 2-year fix. But you just have to do duration and eligibility and cost. And you know, I'm not saying we can solve it at this table in this hour, but it's not. I am. But
What a bunch of fun words. Oh, everything's perfect. Everything's perfect in the world. There's no problems. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. The trans people are going to bring about the rapture, and Tylenol's going to make your babies autistic. And the left are the terrorists, and the right are God's angels. And that's the way the world works. That is how the world works. All right, we're almost done with this boss. I need to work on my damage output. I need to get some buffs. Need to get some buffs. That's horrifying. What does a government shutdown mean? Well, luckily, people have less money on a daily basis right now. We already have a bunch of federal employees that feel undervalued and unloved by their government. Who can imagine why? Who can imagine how that could happen? But luckily, you know, I am interested to see what happens as far as if there is a government shutdown, what that would mean for specifically the Gestapo payments. Like, are they going to continue getting their signing bonuses while teachers go without paychecks? Are you know, government employees going to be fired? President of Ukraine. He's meeting with Zelensky now? Oh gosh. He's meeting with Zelensky, it seems. A huge storm is coming. That was from a weather channel, so I assume it's not talking about it like a political storm. Sounds like Jimmy Kimmel's coming back to the air. Sounds like they're going to be bringing Jimmy back. Sounds like the threats of boycotting was enough to get Disney to commit to allowing him to stay on the air. Sounds like he has to make a huge fine payment to a charity, to Turning Point USA, and make a public apology, which seems fucking dumb. Wow, that took a long time. That was a long boss fight. But we got through it. I'm glad that music's done. I did not like it, but the music went on for a little while. Was there? There were. Thought you could get away from me. And now, do I have things in my treasure chest? No, it is empty apparently. Let's just keep on going, So more celestial dragons. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh. Poland will shoot down flying objects, violating its airspace. How exciting. Cool, 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 Poland. Curious. Oh, secret. I wonder what Kamala Harris is doing. You know, the former leader of the Democrat Party, the candidate to run for presidency. Surely Kamala Harris is being incredibly helpful during these trying times, and goes on Rachel Maddow to
Former
help
Vice
and
President
point
Kamala
a direction
Harris
to
is
go
on
in.
a massive media blitz today promoting her book that just dropped. Many critics are comparing it to a Mean Girls burn book. She spares no one, taking aim at friends, fellow Democrats, and even her former boss, former President Joe Biden. She called President Biden's decision to seek re-election recklessness. Quote, "The stakes were simply too high." And then Kamala Harris also addressed major criticism of Biden's decline while in office, admitting at 81, Joe got tired. That's when his age showed in physical and verbal stumbles. Here's how she tried to answer for all of it just this morning.
Do you regret not voicing your opinion in that moment?
Yes, and I actually have reflected on that, and I've written about that.
And you can, for $40, find out what I have to say about it in full detail. It wouldn't enrich me to talk about this when, you know, like, it's important to, or like when I was in a position of power could do something to put a stop to the horrific death campaign of Israel. But now that I can enrich myself and make a quick buck off of the instability of the Joe Biden presidency, and I can, you know, lash out at all the people that stifled me from spreading my wings as they truly should have been. Like, what the fuck is this garbage? Can you, like, actually, like, say to the people, hey, everybody, here's what they are doing, and here's what we need to do in response? The Republican Party is attacking our free speech. How do we respond to that? Through protests, through boycotts, through divestment. As, you know, Marco Rubio threatens to take away people's passports if they participate in BDS campaigns against Israel. Maybe give people a little bit of an idea as to what they should prepare for and what they should get ready for the government's response in this military state. Or I suppose you could talk about your new book you've got coming out. That does sound pretty exciting.
You know, I realized.
Would it have mattered if you did?
I don't know. Was that grace to not bring it up to him, or was it reckless? And on my part, I do reflect on that and feel that there was a recklessness about not raising it with him. I talk about what was going through my head, right? And what was going through my head to not bring it up was that it would come off as being very self-serving and therefore maybe lack the credibility that it deserved. But I do think about it.
Okay, flashback to this. Kamala Harris repeatedly defending Joe Biden's fitness for office.
Are you prepared to be commander-in-chief?
Yes, I am, if necessary. But Joe Biden is going to be fine.
I just don't understand about this age thing with Joe Biden, President Biden.
Let's not get distracted. Let's look at whether we have a president who has actually produced and followed through on his commitments. Joe Biden has done that.
As we talk, again, I brought this up multiple times today, the way that Republicans are really good at framing the problems of the Democrat Party to their constituents and to their audience, because like these are things that Democrats should be upset about. These are things that, like, MSNBC should be saying, the Democrats need to fucking do better, and NBC needs to be saying that the Democrats need to stop fucking themselves. But instead we get Kamala Harris going on Rachel Maddow and saying about, I've thought about it, and I think maybe I should have said something. Okay, well, unfortunately, this Palestinian aunt lost her niece, and you saying I should have said something about it doesn't make her feel better. The people who have been struck by the plastic bullets by the police, they need a little bit more than, well, I thought about maybe saying something, but I was conflicted, so I just didn't. But I've been sad about that since then. People have died because of your actions. People have died because of your inability to say something, and if you're not going to be offering a full apology for that, then why are you coming back to the forefront? Why are you coming back to the picture? Other than you want money. You just want our money. That's all the Democrats want. That's all they look for. Campaign opportunities so they can get your money.
The measure of the man, not what's on his birth certificate in terms of his age.
Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong.
Kamala Harris also called out some high-profile Democrat friends for slow-rolling their endorsements, according to the book. And again, this is her book.
What? Democrats not giving endorsements? When have they ever done that? When have the Democrats ever been known to not give their full support to one of their candidates? Vote blue no matter who. That's the phrase, right? That's why every single Democrat has gotten up behind Zohran Mamdani. Because of... Oh, I can't reach that one at all. That's sad. That's why they've all gotten up and behind Zohran Mamdani, because they always vote blue no matter who. They're such good liberals.
Let me set it straight to her right now, but I think we know what she said. Former President Barack Obama said he's not going to put a finger on the scale right now. That's what she said about him. She needed him. And that's what she said. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, quote, "We should have some kind of primary, not an anointment." Now, I remember when Nancy Pelosi said that. Apparently, Kamala Harris will never forget it. And Governor Newsom of California, in a text, said apparently, "Hiking will call you back," and he never returned her phone call. It's worth noting, Newsom did endorse Kamala Harris shortly after, but that's not in the book. Selective truth. Power panel now. David Avella, GoPac chairman.
Oh,
Megan
he
Hayes,
never got a call
former
back from
Biden
Newsom.
Director of Message Planning.
He never got
Glad
a call
you're
back.
here. There's a lot of messaging about your former boss and this former VP. What do you make of when she says about the former president that it was recklessness, leaving it to just an individual's decision? Well, him and Jill Biden.
I think she's entitled to her perspective, right? Everyone else has been writing
But
books.
she's not entitled to her own truth. So, Megan, when she says that it was reckless based on what she was witnessing, and then she was also out publicly defending him, those are oppositional. Those two things actually can exist.
So I just don't think that the book is accomplishing what she thinks it wants to accomplish. I think people, when they are going to look at for candidates for 2028, are going to look for people who are leaders, who can speak truth to power. And I'm not sure that parts of this book are really helpful to her. I think having sort of point
those people on our screen. But I want to hit what you just did, and then Dave.
The Burn book.
But I'll come to you on this. So Kamala Harris's book has her snubbing Pete Buttigieg as her vice presidential pick, saying that Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner if he were a straight white man. That's what she said. And then she said, but we were already asking a lot of America to accept a woman, a black woman married to a Jewish man. It was too big of a risk. Here's how she attempted to defend that statement.
To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No, that's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
To harp on this is just a funny thing because like that's absolutely true. Like to pretend that it's not true, especially as Fox News say, like pretending as if anybody in their audience would ever vote for a black woman, a South Asian woman, is laughable. They would never do that by any means, because that would just be antithetical towards what they believe in. It'd be antagonistic towards their brain. But what we do have is I remember when Kamala Harris was when we first found out and we were wondering who the VP was going to be. My assumption was going to be that it was going to be J.D. Pritzker because he's a big tubby white man. You know, like you're gonna put a gay man and a black woman on the ticket to pretend that like it's not playing the political game to think about that is silly.
Real risk.
Okay, check out all of the media reaction on socials last night. One user said, somewhere in that word salad, she admits the reason was because he was gay. Another. So Kamala Harris discriminated against Pete Buttigieg on the basis of his sexual orientation? Got it. And political commentator Scott Jennings with this. This
You're
logic
so clever and funny.
is incoherent.
LOL.
Voters made the right choice. David.
You know, if we all have 15 minutes of fame, Vice President Harris is at 14 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh,
It is
wow.
exit stage left here shortly
wow.
for the former vice president. You know,
Good burn.
what she ultimately, no matter how many words she used, she ultimately said she thinks Americans are prejudiced. And they would not vote for her because she was a black woman, or they wouldn't vote for Pete Buttigieg because he was a gay man, and they certainly wouldn't vote for the two of them if they were together. That's what she ultimately thinks of Americans' attitudes. The other thing, I think you have to question her judgment. That one of the parts of this book are that
I love you're so woke. I love how woke and liberal Fox News is. I mean, they're each their own individual delicate snowflake. You know, we need to be gentle with them because if you hurt their feelings, they'll lash out and they'll, you know, call you a terrorist and send the National Guard into your state. But they really are just delicate little flowers that need to be taken care of. Don't forget to tell your local Republican that they're a good boy. Be sure to pat them on the head. Good boy. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good bootlicker?
His commitments. Joe Biden has done that.
Mentally as strong as he once was. She knows he's a terrible debater. The last person she's going to take a call from is Joe Biden?
Wow. Yeah, that's strategy. Yeah. Okay, let's get to this. Kamala Harris also took a shot at President Donald Trump.
I always believed that if push came to shove, those titans of industry would be guardrails for our democracy, one by one by one. They have been silent. They have been, you know, yes, I use the word feckless. Right now we are dealing with, as I called him at my speech on the ellipse,
8 letters.
A tyrant. We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now in Donald Trump. At some point, they've got to stand up against a tyrant who is using the federal government to execute his whim and fancy because of a fragile ego.
Do they? Why do they?
Where is the salad dressing? But it's clear she hates Trump, David.
It is. I'm keeping a list here. Let's see. Immigration was going to destroy the country. Terrorists were going to destroy the country. The one big beautiful bill was going to destroy the country. All things proven wrong. I've probably missed a few things, but Megan can help me fill out my list. But all things she predicted.
She's
wrong.
a Democrat. She might not want to do that.
To be fair, Trump is upside down on polling in every single one of those issues. So she's not wrong in what the American people view and how they view Donald Trump. I'm just not sure that this book was the best place to do it. She should be out there supporting other Democrats who are actually in the fight to get some of these issues more favorably for Democrats.
Do you want to take that?
She also just endorsed the socialist mayor of New York City.
Yeah, there's that. Would you like to take that?
It wasn't a super strong endorsement, but I do think her point is what works in New York doesn't necessarily work in others, and she was trying to lift up some other mayors there. But I also think that this is where the Democrats have gone wrong, right? They've
Oh, gross. I hate Fox News. I hate that I have to watch them. We got any Jubilee? Not a round table. I recognize all of those people from previous videos. Oh, well, we've been going about 2.5 hours now. I'm about at the end of this elite dungeon, so I think I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. Oh, goodness. What time is it? 2 o'clock. Hell yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff I need to do. But yeah, I'm going to hop off for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope everybody has a wonderful night. I hope everybody is able to stay safe. Oh yeah, today is Tuesday, September 23rd. From what I've heard, it might be the rapture today, so everybody stay safe. Other than that, though, I'll check you guys out tomorrow. I'll see you then. Until then, everybody, be good. Yeah. Goodbye. Goodbye.